Welcome to Who Yelling Now, titled We Call It Passion. Let's talk about passion. Not the kind you post. Not the kind that sounds good when you say it out loud. I'm talking about the kind that moves before you think. The kind that feels so certain you stop asking if it should. Because somewhere along the way, we stopped asking what is passion. And we started accepting whoever was loud enough to define it. This is Who Yelling Now, and today we call it passion. Here's a poem I call Before You Knew. Before you named it, it was already moving, already deciding what you would say. Before you said it, it didn't wait for reason, didn't ask for proof. It just arrived, loud enough to feel like truth. You followed it, not because it made sense, but because not following it felt like loss. Passion doesn't wait, it moves. And the one that moves the fastest is usually the one we see first. This episode's story will be told in about 3 parts. It's the story I call Repeat After Me Loudly. James Trice didn't struggle with thinking. He struggled with saying things in a way people could survive hearing them. He stood between 2 generations. One that believes some things should stay quiet, and another that believes if it's not said out loud, it doesn't exist. So every time James spoke, he split the room. But clarity doesn't unite people, it reveals them. So he sharpened, not softer, stronger. Small conversations became larger ones. Friends, co-workers, strangers, and then a platform. He spoke like he believed himself. No hesitation, no maybes. And people responded. Not all of them, but enough. Enough for someone to say it again, louder. So he did. And louder became faster. Faster became further. Media picked him up. Not because he was careful, but because he was certain. Money followed quickly. Because passion, when it's loud and confident, is easy to invest in. And somewhere in that growth, his opinion stopped sounding like opinions. They started sounding like truth. But loud isn't the only way passion shows up. It's just the one we reward. Let's look at another quiet passion. At the same time James was bringing his ideas to the public, there was someone else, Marcy Doolittle. You wouldn't have noticed her. Most people didn't. She didn't speak fast, didn't interrupt, didn't push her way into the room. But she listened carefully, consistently when she spoke. It wasn't immediate, it was considered. She asked questions that slowed things down, and that made people uncomfortable. because slowing something down feels like resistance. When everyone else is moving fast, she was taking a slower pace. So she spoke less, not because she had nothing to say, but because the room wasn't built for how they said it. Her passion didn't disappear, it just stayed contained. It showed up in smaller ways, in quiet corrections, in thoughts people weren't ready to sit with. It didn't spread, not because it wasn't strong, but because it wasn't amplified. Same time, same world, similar intensity, different outcomes. So, back with James, who was getting all the attention. His message had grown, bigger than the rooms, bigger than platforms. People were repeating him, adding to him, building on top of him. And that's when something shifted. He started hearing things attributed to him that he never said, but they sounded like something he could have said. So they stuck. And the people repeating it, they were just as passionate as he was, maybe more. And the louder it got, the harder it became to slow it down. Meanwhile, the quieter voice, still there, still seeing it clearly, watching something that started as expression become direction. But when they spoke now, it sounded like opposition. And that's when the divide locked in. One passion was leading, the other was being dismissed. Here's a poem to help you understand. Maybe it will light a fire in your passion. I call this two fires. One burned loud enough to gather a crowd. One burned steady, but never out loud. Same heat, same source, same need to be known. But one took the stage and one stayed alone. One became movement, one stayed a voice, not because of strength, but because of choice. My fellow yellers, let's be honest. We don't treat passion equally. When it's loud, we call it leadership. When it's quiet, we question its value. When it comes from power, we follow it. When it doesn't, we challenge it. Same intensity, different permission, and over time, a few people's passion starts shaping the direction of everyone else. Not because it's more true, but because it's more accepted. So, if someone like James' words become accepted by the few that will lead many, does the many ever have a say? Today, just for you, my faithful listeners, we have a yeller. Her name is SusannahB. Sorry for messing your name up there, Susanna. My apologies. She is someone whose work understands something many people spend their entire lives trying to hide. Vulnerability. Not weakness, not performance, but the courage it takes to let emotions exist honestly in front of other people. Susannah is a singer, songwriter, and creative voice whose work moves through passion, reflection, identity, and emotional truth with a rare kind of openness. It asks you to feel, and that can be far more uncomfortable. And in a world where loudness is often rewarded more than depth, that kind of honesty matters. So today we're going to explore passion with Susannah. Susannah, please introduce yourself to my yellers.
Hello, I'm SusannahB, and I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for that very nice intro, Olga. And I really like the story, the poem and the story.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I have things to respond to.
Perfect. So let's just start right with it. My first question is quiet versus loud passion. Do you think society only recognizes passion when it's loud?
I think that is a really, I think you are correct in identifying that that is the more popular way that we see and hear passion, passionate displays of love, and in movies and TV and the very dramatic, things that in gender stereotype stories, a man does for a woman maybe, whereas there's lots of other ways it could go. And yes, as an artist, I was thinking a lot before this call and even now about the nature of passion in my life, particularly in art, because you brought that up. And I feel personally like my passion is quiet and more quiet than loud. And I guess sometimes I do feel like in the outer world, it's more expected to be bigger, like you said, to be louder in a different way that doesn't really come to me completely naturally.
Very true. Very true. Has there been moments where your quieter form of passion were overlooked because they didn't perform the way people expected them to?
Oh, yes. Many, many times. I'm a youthful 61-year-old, and so I have been doing singing and songwriting for the last 30 years. Now, you'll notice I didn't really start till I was almost 30 because it's something that I came from. My mother was a very successful songwriter herself and singer and had a tremendous amount of success in New York City, where I grew up, and on Broadway and stuff. And I really felt incredibly proud of her and her talent, and a little bit in awe of it and a little bit intimidated. So I was just not going to go there, and I was just going to be an actress, and I was very passionate about that. But what I found was that I was harder to figure out for people than I realized. Not only as an actress, I guess being a character actress more than maybe a leading lady, but also when I started writing songs, my style, my groove, my kind of whatever I was doing was really hard to pin down. People were like, what genre is this? Are you jazz? Are you pop? Are you rock? And I have elements of all of those in my work. And it's been something that has taken me, a long time to kind of hone, I guess, on my own, and to polish and sharpen. But I definitely feel like, yes, there were many, many years where people would compliment me on my work, but just say, I just don't know what to do with you.
Right. And the cool thing is, through it all, you didn't lose your passion. Like I was saying before, sometimes the passion just becomes contained, right? Or you find a different way to go through a different door and find an outlet for it.
Yes, I was thinking about, before getting on the call, I was thinking, passion, I don't know. I'm not aware of feeling like the deep, maybe it's like you said, the louder, more dramatic shows of passion. I don't walk around with those I want to sing today. I don't. But there is, when you were speaking about in the story about the quiet, that loud is not the only way passion shows up. Right. I would say I really relate to that, because passion for me has to do with kind of, over a period of days, which turn into weeks, which turn into months, just having the little nudge inside me that says, well, why don't you go practice singing? Well, what about that? And for me, even I do a lot of scheduling of creative meetings with people who inspire me and people I work with, so that I have to show up. Because if it's just me, to tell you the truth, it's so easy to be distracted in every way. But I feel like that the quieter passion is more what keeps me going.
Totally, I totally understand. I swing between both. So here's another question for you. This one is passion and permission. Who do you think is allowed to be passionate without being questioned?
Everybody.
Our society.
Everybody.
Really?
Everyone's allowed to be passionate. Absolutely.
Without being questioned.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't be allowed to be passionate? I feel like it's a part of life, whether it's how people feel about their garden or their meditation practice or, their dance practice or whatever it is. I mean, I just think maybe we don't always call those things passion, but they are deep interests that we're drawn to because they feed us in some way. They feed our soul. They make us feel better. And so I don't feel like anybody owes anybody else an explanation or a reason why they should be passionate. They should just get permission.
Right. So sometimes in our society, people feel as if when they're passionate about something, they get judged on being too emotional, too aggressive, just too much intensity. It's almost as if depending on who you are, you need to dim your passion a bit. Do you think that's another perspective of how some people view either expressing their passion or just, hiding it somewhere in a closet?
Yeah, well, I mean, particularly if you're talking about a passion for expressing oneself as opposed to sort of passionate love or something. We're talking about passion for creative passion, right? Artistic passion. Absolutely. I think that a lot of people don't feel like they're being given permission or a lot of that it makes others uncomfortable if someone expresses their passion. But I think the reason that's true is because no matter what your passion is, when you express your own, enthusiasm and excitement and really loving something and you show that, that's vulnerable. Yes. And I think you said in your story, that vulnerability makes other people uncomfortable because it's scary and not everybody wants to do that. And so others who are expressing their passion, even in the smallest way, like decorating a cake and really making it an artistic creation, someone else might look at that and be a little bit threatened by that. Because it's like, oh, well, is that what's expected of all of us? And that just seems scary, and so sometimes judgment can be the cover for when people really are a little bit more afraid than they want to admit of what you're doing.
Absolutely. I know someone where her passion is just these flamboyant, beautiful hairstyles. They are literally work of art. But if she's not in the room and you hear what others say, and I'm just like, she does not need your permission to express herself, right? But society sometimes decide whose passion should be rewarded.
Yes. Yes, and I mean, I don't know that, the specifics of that, but I wonder if those people who are judging her fabulous hairstyles, if they, what is it that they would like to do if they weren't afraid of being judged? I mean, oftentimes when people are judging out loud, there's probably a lot of judging going on inside, silently as well, And so, but I mean, I think the challenge for any of us who want to express ourselves in any creative way is to let go of what other people think. Like that has just been one of my main, things that I've worked on in my life. I'm definitely a therapy person. I'm a journaler since I was, 12 years old. And just, that is just not a lesson. It's like a practice that I return to again and again of just letting go and saying, I just was telling myself the other day, I talk out loud a lot, and I just said, not everybody is going to be happy with all of my choices and decisions. That's just the way it is. Some people will be super happy, and some people won't care, and some people won't be happy. And I have to be okay with that. And certainly at the age I am now, it is becoming a lot easier, starting in my 50s, I think, to really not care so much. Because I think you start to realize, wow, the years are getting on here. And what do I want to do? And it's my life, And someone reminded me just a week or so ago of the wonderful Mary Oliver poem when she says, what are you going to do with your one wild, oh, shoot. I can't remember the second word that she uses, but it's like your one wild life. What are you going to do with it? Because we've only got the one. And if you find yourself at the end of your life thinking, geez, I wish I had let myself do that fabulous hairstyle I wanted to do. Why didn't I just let myself do that? Why was I so nasty about her doing it?
Exactly.
I think that's kind of a sad story. And I have done a lot of thinking and work, and I even have a song called Always Wanted To. Ooh. That's about that. It's really about, hey, you know what? This isn't going to last forever. Mm-hmm. So what have you always wanted to do? Just do it.
Get it done. Totally understand. So once music or art leaves you and reaches out into the audience, do you think people begin creating their own version of your message?
I hope so. I think that's the point. I mean, I can't be in control of anybody's particular way that they receive something. I mean, like I said before, I have to be okay with the fact that my music's really good. I love it. I make music that I think is really great. That's pretty much the best I can do. I can't try to figure out, well, what's going to sell. And I'm an older person. I'm not going to, I'm not going to be on tour with Billie Eilish, So in my small way, do I want to touch people? Yes, I do. And, me particularly, one of my passions is singing and singing together as a group and getting people to sing. And so I write a lot of choruses that I purposely think to myself, is that easy to sing along with? Could someone sing along with that in the car or whatever? Like, I love that idea, but who knows if they're going to do that or not? And I can't. I just think most artists really have to let that go. And I just went to the new LA County Museum a few weeks ago, which is stunning and so inspiring in a massive amount of ways. It's really radical. They have all this different art displayed together for the first time. So it's there'll be a modern painting and then like a photograph from last year and then an ancient Egyptian pot. And it's like all in the same room because it all has to do with the theme of, loneliness or something. It's really amazing. They are grouping all the art by themes, and it's just so cool. But one of the things I was thinking about when I was there was like, artists make their art. They don't, then they walk away and they're leaving it there, and you can have your experience. You don't have your experience, you walk by it, whatever. Like, I just don't think we can really be in charge of that.
I totally get it. I always try to remind people, when they're in a listening mode, that most of the things that we refer to in history is a form of art, right? Whether it's an ancient building, an ancient poem, an old music, even a chair. Someone designed that. Right? You're looking at someone's expression, someone's art. So when people lump all these things that we treasure under that one header art, try not to just think of painting or music, right? See the entire structure, like you say, a pottery, right? You may not love it, now, but give yourself a moment, right? And you might find that later that same art is talking to you. So, yeah, that's something I discovered. Do you think that there are people there with quiet passion that if they were allowed a platform, we allowed ourselves to actually give them opportunity to listen to them, they would be able to move our society in a more thoughtful way that helps us be better people, better humans.
Well, first of all, I think the way to move society is one by one, right? Is ultimately each individual, we all collectively make up society. So I don't know that there's a way to change everyone in one big, wave of a wand. I think that it really is, it adds up as person by person by person receives, insight or taps into their own empathy for others or whatever. And sometimes it is an artistic expression, a show or a movie or a song or a piece of art or, there's so many things that can move people to have a different perspective. But I do think, yes, quiet passion is something that maybe we don't talk enough about, because as you said, it's kind of, passion often has this reputation for being like really loud and fiery and
Right.
and convicted and having deep conviction and huge confidence, and that's the idea. Whereas, like I was saying, I really think my passion for expressing myself through songs in particular and performing, it really shows up in a very quiet way. I guess when I was sort of forming my own spirituality and thinking a lot about my own relationship with the divine, or whatever you want to call it, a higher power, God, spirit, can be known as lots of things. But as I was really finding that over the last 30 years, really, I take direction from that place. But that place is only accessed in silence. I can't find it if I'm on Instagram. I can't hear it if I'm watching TV. There's just no way. I really can't. I have to make time to be quiet. And, I think the biblical reference is the still small voice, that there is, I was sort of taught by some of my spiritual teachers that it's a powerful voice within us that we can tap into, but it is not loud. It isn't. It can be often quite, that's been my experience, that it's really quiet. And what I pay attention to these days is when it's a little bit nagging, like if I don't listen to it and it's like, did you call the thing? You really should call the thing. Why don't you call the thing? And finally I'm like, okay, I'll call. But because, my personality is going to, or my ego or whatever it is, that other part of me is going to resist and say, my sort of cross to bear often is that I can't find my self-esteem sometimes. I can't find confidence at all. And even after all these years, the voice will say to me, well, you're not really that good a singer. Well, you don't know how to do that. Well, it's really not nice. And I've written I've written 2 songs about that inner voice in particular, because I do tend to write often about emotions and kind of emotional states and inner emotional challenges. And so a lack of confidence has really been something I struggle with and continue to struggle with. And the small voice can get really drowned out by that other voice that's like, no, you shouldn't do that. And so it's only when I really kind of close my eyes or walk, take a walk without my phone, or I actually get a lot of insights as I drive, because I don't turn, the radio on or anything like that. And just all those places are places where I can hear that inner passion voice better.
Absolutely excellent way of putting it. Have you ever, or you may have written, as you said, you do have a good deal of what I consider quiet, passionate songs with great lyrics. Could you share either a chorus or a verse that it just nagged at you until you wrote it down and put it to music?
That's, honestly, that's most of them. They'll kind of come. All right. Well, the first one I thought of was, because I was just talking about it, is a song that it's the second song that I have written about that negative voice in my head. But I got the title of the song. A lot of times I I know what the title of the song is before I write it. So I kind of know what the song is about, because usually a title will sort of be like a thesis sentence or something. So the title was The Enemy in Me. And first of all, from a poetic point of view, I just love that enemy in me. I love the enemy in me, like the way it repeats. And I just thought it was really, just sounded really cool. Could sound, really cool with a good groove. But I didn't write that song for like many, many years. I wrote another song called Talking to Myself. And it was really about kind of like, wouldn't it be wonderful? Wouldn't it be great if I just had a more positive voice, And the chorus had to do with like, well, maybe someday it'll happen like I say. And that was about, practicing, trying to fake it till you make it kind of, like to just, and that worked for quite a while, and it brought me to a different place, but I did find myself still with the enemy in me. Yeah. And so when I went in there, that chorus is, I was working a lot with that idea of, wow, how do I characterize a part of myself as if it were a person, And so the enemy in me ties my hands behind my back. The enemy in me whispers her attack. The enemy in me, she's a
okay. So I think what you're trying to say is that one of these lines from your song just kept at you, the enemy in me, and you had to find yourself where you had to put it into words and describe it, and then you put music to it. I'm very, trust and believe me, I understand what you mean. I'll walk around with a sentence in my head all day, and I have to write it down. I have to get it out. And then the funny thing is, I'm thinking it's a sentence, so I write the sentence down only to be followed by like several more sentences once I start writing, right? So I totally understand. No worries. Don't put me on the spot and ask me to recite. I'm one of my poets. I am horrible at it, so I apologize. I always tell people, no, let me get the book, or let me see what I wrote. Because my mind is creating something new without me looking at what I've already written. And I don't know if that's how it is for you. You're literally making up a whole new thing in your head that is just as good as what you've written before.
Oh, hopefully. Thank you.
No worries. So let me ask you one question for my dearest listeners. If you had to give advice to your younger self or to a younger friend on how best to handle their passion, whether it be loud or quiet, what would you say to that person? And then second part to that, if you had to give that same advice to an older friend or your older self, what would it be?
It's interesting to think about the difference between advice to a younger person and advice to an older person. Well, I guess to a younger person, I would say, being young, you have some time. God willing, you have a lot more time than an older person would. So continue to ask yourself, over and over and over, what's the most fun I can think of having? Where do I light up? What do I just love to do that like it wouldn't even feel like a job if I did it? My father-in-law, who's passed away now, was a physicist, and he used to talk about the fact that he would pay to go to work, if he weren't being paid, because he just loved it so much, and he had loved it since he was a kid. Now that doesn't always happen with everybody. I had a mother who was very clear at an incredibly early age what she wanted to do. And like I said, I thought I was extremely clear on what I wanted to do. And actually, I do some acting occasionally, but I really don't, like my life hasn't turned out at all like I expected. I've been really pleasantly surprised over and over again by things that I couldn't possibly have planned. They were so out of my realm of possibility that there's been some wonderful things that happen from not having a clear idea. So I would say to the young person, you don't have to know exactly what you want to do, but I think you keep your eyes and ears and your feelers, out for what are the things that really turn you on, for lack of a better phrase. And are there ways that you can figure out how to do those more? And if that, you know, if that involves becoming good at something like playing an instrument or playing a sport or dancing or whatever, you know, then are you willing to like just grind it out and show up and not be good for a while? Because that's how it goes, you know? And I think, I guess if I were speaking to an older person, I'd say to them, okay, we are older. We don't have as much time. And it is hard to be a beginner at any age, never mind when you're much older. It's pretty humbling, and it can be kind of frustrating actually, because you know, you're like, wait, I'm this old and I'm this, like, this is so awkward and I feel so frustrated. But, you know, to just know that bit by bit, day by day, things add up. Someone said to me the other day, it's like the cliche, but they were like, how do you eat an elephant? You know, bite by bite. And I was like, well, I don't want to eat an elephant. I love elephants, but I know what you're saying. And I think so I would say to an older person, you know, it's more kind of from the past. What have you always wanted to do? Like I was just talking about with my song, always wanted to. Like what's that thing that you're always like, oh, I always want to do that. I never did. And because I have like 3. I always wanted to play bass guitar, never have. Ooh. Always wanted to tap dance, never have. You know, and then my other one was ukulele, which I ended up learning just very few chords on the ukulele, but I wrote a song so that now I have a song that I play on ukulele, and it works, you know. And I guess I would say to an older person like my age, like, you don't have to be incredibly great at it. Like, give yourself permission to just accept the fact that, no, you didn't start this when you were 12. So you might only get as far as you get, but better to start than not at all, right? That's
so true. And that was a fantastic answer. Thank you so much. I always remind myself that if you liked it and then forgot that you like it, you can always go back and pick it up later.
Absolutely.
Right?
And if it was a sport or an instrument or any other things that are even language, there's muscle memory in there. If you did have any of it at an early age, you definitely have a leg up, and you should know that, and don't just you know, think that it doesn't make any difference or that you lost it. I've been extremely surprised. My husband and I have been remembering our high school French because we were extremely challenged. We adopted our daughter 7 years ago, and she spoke Spanish, no English, and we didn't speak Spanish. And we were trying to learn Spanish, and it was extremely hard. It was just like our brains were like, they were just like nets, you know, you like pour water through them or something. I also learned later that my method of learning was not the right method for me. I'm more of a visual learner. And I went to like one of those places that they just talk at you and they don't write anything down. That didn't work for me. So I learned that. But I also kept remembering French. It was the weirdest thing. And so finally, my husband and I were like, well, okay, maybe we won't do Spanish. And our daughter's brilliant, so she learned English in like 20 minutes. But she said, okay, fine, you know, go ahead, do French. But we have been remembering it, and we're just surprised at how much is still in there after all these years.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can't tell you how many things that now in the stage of my life, I reach back and I was like, oh my God, I used to do that. I can do it, and I'll do it again. I'm like, I'm still good at it, right? And I surprised myself, and I'm like, I'm going to do that again because I liked it, right? And I can't remember why I stopped, right?
Well, and I call that passion, exactly what you just said. I'm going to do that again because it was so fun. Felt so good. I mean, that's the point. And I think when you talk about, you said in a few questions ago about how do we make change as a society? I mean, I really think it's about tapping into individually our own healing, our own joy, our own love. Because when people are suffering, it's really hard for them to be empathetic to others. And you know, I think that's when people get into trouble, when there's a lot of internal suffering, and then they'll take it out on other people, or they're judging, or they're angry and they don't know what to do with the anger or whatever. And right now, when we are, at least, you know, certainly in American society, you know, experiencing tremendous amounts of division, which we've always had, but I guess, you know, we can just see it because we're all so connected on social media in this way that we've never, ever been before. So we're all like looking at every single thing that's out there. But I think that as we tap into our own little moments of joy, that can only help our world.
Definitely. Matter of fact, this is one of the reasons why this topic is so important, is that if you spend any time on social media, it's almost as if everyone has a passion and they want to share it with you in the loudest way, right? And you're not even sure if the passion is real, right? Or are they just making it up? What is the agenda here? So it's almost as if, what is passion? And did we lose our definition of it? And is the loud passion we should be paying attention to, right? Or the powerful passion? Or should it be the quieter passion that's more controlled, more considerate, ask questions, they're trying to understand? And in this society that we live in, I think it's all so jumbled, and I can't be the only person asking this question, right? What is passion? What are we calling it now today, right? Is it just, hey, I'm the most powerful and loudest, and my opinions will now become fact and law?
Yeah, I don't think opinions are passion. I don't think that that's the same thing. I think, I guess I really I connect passion with, the heart and the soul, and that's where the joy is, or the love, or the delight, and it can delight you to think about things and formulate opinions, but I don't know, maybe as I listen to myself, I'm like, well, am I wrong? I'm not sure. But
we're never wrong on who's yelling now.
Yeah. Well, when you said, that everyone, I mean, it's so tricky, because I don't want there to be quiet passion is more respectful, and so that's the better one, or loud passion is rude, and but I do think what you're talking about on social media, I mean, there's all sorts of agendas going on, certainly. I don't know. I look out there and I don't always think, wow, everybody's got a passion. I think a lot of people are here showing up, and the ones that I respond to are the people who are just authentically really being themselves. There's this grandma who's 90 something, and her grandson puts her on Instagram, and she's in the old folks home, and she puts on her funny orange lipstick, and she'll say, "What do you think about my outfit today?" And she's just hilarious. And she's being herself. Is she expressing a passion? Yeah, she's enjoying being kind of loud and proud, and being herself. I think that sometimes maybe that's not something we associate with passion, but I think it looks like passion to me in a way.
Totally. Any expression of passion, whether loud, quiet, or in between, nothing is wrong with any of them. I think for me, it's which one does society here rewards, right, and give more credence to. So I think that's really where I'm trying to peel that onion, right? Because I've heard or seen passion within myself, within others, within family, and friends. And some passion, I'm like, wow, I wish you had a platform, right? And other passions who have a platform, I'm like, ooh, wish you could just, right?
Right.
So, so again, I guess it's what makes that person's passion I'm trying to tune out versus this person's passion I want to take in, right? Yeah. So I'm hoping the listeners are trying to get an idea. What I'm trying to say is, what is our now definition of it? And should we be consuming all of it, or should we continue to be selective? And is some of our selection of what others' passion is already taught?
I think that we connect to, as we look out into the world and we see so many people and social media, but also just people who are trying to lead us in different ways, politically, artistically, in communities. It seems to me that we all connect to qualities that we see in others that maybe we want more of in our own lives, or qualities that we associate with being safe, or being inspired, or, if I hear someone speak about their vision for the future of Los Angeles, let's say, and we're about to have a big election in California, I'm going to be listening for someone who is going to make me feel like there's possibility, like there is hope. I want someone who's not going to be, me personally, I don't want someone who's just going to be mad and angry and talking trash about everybody else. Like, I need some hope. But maybe others, clearly others might really be feeling angry and they don't care about the hope. They want someone who is going to just be loud and angry and reflecting how they feel. I think we're looking for people who can kind of represent us,
Right. You're absolutely right. And I think, that's seems to be the popular form of passion lately. And as we try to understand it, I am going to say thank you, Susannah, for this joining us today. This was a pleasure, helping us trying to understand what it is that we call passion. When we feel it, how we should express it. Should we care what anyone else has to think about our passion? So thank you again. Just know you have a standard open invitation to come back to Who Yelling Not.
Thank you so much. And I'll just say to your listeners, SusannahB is spelled the old-fashioned biblical way. So it's SUSANNAH. And then I have just a big B right after, no period, just SusannahB. And I'm on all the streaming platforms and YouTube, and there's lots of music there. But particularly if you listened today, I would check out the song Always Wanted To that I played the ukulele on. And my new release, More Love, is really funky, and it's just it's a song about how we really need more love in the world. And I really love that one. And see if you can find something to sing along to. And on Instagram, I am at SusannahB Music. So check me out.
Wonderful. And just know her songs come from an internal passion that burns, and she keeps at it. And I like her music. So again, check out Always Wanted To, because there's something we always wanted to do, right, Yellow? And so we're definitely check it out.
Thank you.
Oh, no worries.
Here is a poem I call Codified. Listen intently, my dearest listeners, as I poured my heart into this one for you. Codified. We said it was law, like that made it still, like ink on the page had no memory of will. But before it was written, it was spoken out loud by someone certain enough to gather a crowd. They called it order, they called it right, but it started as fire someone refused to fight. A feeling made firm, a thought made rule, a voice with a pen and a room full of fuel. And once it was written, it lost its name. No longer a person, no longer a flame. Just law, just truth, just how it must be. But laws don't arrive, they're carried by somebody. Somebody with access, somebody heard, somebody whose passion became the word. And the rest of us learned it, repeated it clean, never asking whose voice lived in between. Because once passion hardens and settles in code, it's no longer asked. It's just becomes road. My fellow devoted yellers, hope you enjoyed that poem. If you would like a copy of it, drop me a comment. We call it passion when it moves fast enough that we don't stop it. We call it passion when it sounds certain enough that we don't question it. We call it passion when it's backed by power, so we don't have to resist it. But not all passion is equal. Not in how it's heard, not in how it's allowed, not in how it's followed. So the next time someone feels powerful, ask yourself, am I following passion? Or am I following a version of it that was loud enough to reach me? And maybe we've been calling it passion when we should have been asking, who decided this one gets to lead? This is Who's Yelling Now? Yell at you in the next episode.